What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. Fix this fucking camera angle. Hey, bro. Yeah. Raw TV. Well, I guess you kind of been waiting for me to weigh in, judging by the amount of emails and private messages I've gotten about the DNP situation with Mark Lobliner, Jason Blaha, and Boston Lloyd. I think Mark was the first one to make the video. My name was brought into it on a thread on Facebook from Boston's girlfriend Ariella, and then Jason Blaha made his follow-up video to it. I think it was yesterday or something like that. I just watched it this morning. I know, bro. I know. So here's the deal. You have the people who think it's the scariest thing in the world and hate it, like Mark Lobliner and Jason Blaha, and caution you that it's going to kill you as soon as you take it. Come on, buddy. And then you have Boston Lloyd, who seems to think it's really no big deal. Now, I'm not on either side of that coin. I'm right down the middle. I'd have to say that, hands down, I have the most experience, personal experience with DNP than all of these individuals, as well as, I'd say, more knowledge through personal experimentation with the stuff. Now, before I get into this, I just want to say that this is for informational purposes. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. You should not use this stuff. Now, let's kind of delve into it a little bit. Mark and Jason both had talked about insulin being not as scary as DNP. Now, insulin for me, personally, is scarier than DNP. Insulin, I'm so sensitive to insulin, I could take a 2 IU shot, not 20, 2 IUs, and actually feel hyperglycemic after eating 300 grams of carbs. Like, that's the way my body works. Now, the DNP, here's the thing. It does not raise your body temperature if you do it correctly. And I know this because I've done actual DNP and taking my body temperature, and it didn't budge a single fucking degree. Why? Because I did it right. Now, did I feel hot? Yes. Clenbuterol actually spiked my body temperature higher than DNP. It went up 1.5 degrees with clenbuterol. I believe it was 60 or 80 micrograms of clenbuterol. T3 actually spikes your body temperature more than DNP. Now, when you take DNP, here's the kicker. Your body can't convert anything into ATP. So what happens is it gets released as heat. So every carbohydrate you eat that gets stored in the muscle then will be released as heat. It can't be turned into ATP. However, here's the kicker. A lot of people say, oh, you take this stuff and your body temperature goes up. If you don't eat carbohydrates, your body temperature doesn't go up. It's actually best used on a keto diet because your body's metabolism raises 30%. 30. And I've heard some studies say up to 50% from one dose of this shit. Which means that if you're not eating carbohydrates and your body can't use carbs to make ATP, what else is it going to use? Now, some people say, well, you can use muscle tissue and break it down. Well, it could, but if you're taking steroids, it's not happening. You're training with weights, it's not happening. You're getting your protein needs met, that's not happening. So what's happening? Stored body fat. And that's why this stuff works so well. And that's why people have such a fucking hard time with it. Because they eat so many goddamn carbohydrates. They actually take the DNP so they can eat more carbs, which causes more heat, which causes more problems, which causes you to feel like shit. The more carbs you eat on this stuff, the worse you're going to feel. Okay, that's the biggest mistake right there. Second, Lobliner talked about the dosing. This is true. I did have a guy a long time ago that was, getting gear. And he was like, oh, I can get DNP. And he got them, and I looked at the capsule, and I was like, where'd this come from? He's like, same guy I get my gear from. Now, I knew the gear wasn't dosed properly. So I'm like, if he's making the gear and he's not dosing it properly, how the fuck do you know you're getting the DNP dose properly and you don't know what you're getting microgram, milligram wise, whatever in the capsule? That's true. It's not made by a pharmaceutical certified factory where you know what dosages you're getting. So you're taking a chance anytime you take that stuff. However, that being said, the right dosages, I do feel like it's a lot safer than people think it is. Now, I do not recommend it for anybody using it. I've never recommended it to a client ever in my entire life for any fucking reason. And the reason being is, if you tell somebody to take one, more than likely they're going to take 2 or 3. Or they're going to take one and say, I don't feel it. Sometimes you don't feel this shit. They say, take the second one, take a third one, all of a sudden fucking they're in the hospital. Now, another aspect of this is when you take the DNP, you start to feel that heat. If you're not used to what it feels like, you can have a fucking panic attack and think it's the DNP and wind up in the hospital. I've actually had people, when I worked at a vitamin store, we're not going to say what it is, who took a product that had 300 milligrams of caffeine in it and wound up in the hospital with heart palpitations. What happened was the caffeine kicked in and the person thought, oh my God, there's something in the pill that's causing me to do this. Yeah, it was caffeine. But this person drank espressos and stuff which had more than that in it. Which means that basically they put themselves into a panic attack. If you put yourself into a panic attack with DNP and your body temperature goes up, yes, you can fuck yourself up. But be aware that just because you take DNP does not mean that your body temperature goes up. The more of it you take, the more of an ATP you try to convert from carbohydrates, the more heat is released, the higher your body temperature is going to go. There's actually some science behind this. It's not just you take it and you cook yourself from the inside out. The people that have cooked themselves from the inside out have taken quite a fucking bit of this shit to get that to happen. Now, like I said, I'm not telling anybody to go out there and take this stuff. And I'll be 100% honest with you. I was good friends with someone who was a pro bodybuilder, and I always said I would never take DNP. This person flat out said, you don't have to take it. Not everybody takes it. But the results will come faster and you'll get a different look faster if you take this stuff. When I asked him, I know, bro. When I asked him how safe it was, he said, well, do you think insulin's safe? And I was like, well, no, I have a bad reaction to it every single fucking time. Do you think Clen is safe? People have fucking heart attacks on Clen. It raises blood pressure. It can cause all kinds of problems. He's like, well, this one, as long as you're not taking the right dosage, too high of a dosage, it doesn't raise your body temperature, doesn't cause this, doesn't cause that. It makes your body work harder. You know, I had at the time, because I was on every fucking drug under the sun, I was like, okay, work harder. Who gives a shit? As long as the fat comes off. You know, is this what pros are doing? And he said, some pros. He didn't say all of them are doing that. Some of them don't have to do it. They're genetically very lean. Other pros that are very fat, genetically fat, or put fat on easy, they were playing with the stuff. So I hope this kind of explains a little more to this stuff. I don't think it's the most dangerous thing in the world. I just don't. I personally think insulin is more dangerous because I have a reaction so fast that, like Mark said, it gives you a chance to recover from. I almost don't have that chance. It reacts so fast that I can't get enough sugar in me to bring the levels up, especially if it's something like a Humulin R, which lasts 8 hours. I have multiple spikes in my body from that stuff. That is much worse for me. As well as on paper, DNP looks worse than insulin or something like Ludolase, PGF2, but I had worse reactions to PGF2 and insulin than I ever did with DNP. So in real world applications, I do feel that with the proper dosing from the proper production, with the proper person who knows their body and is not going to fucking lose their mind and test their body temperature to make sure everything's okay, I think it can be done safely. Do I think people should be using it? No, because in general, people are just not responsible enough to be using this shit. Back in the day, Trembolone was like the fucking golden nectar of the gods to the fucking pros, okay? Parabolone was the golden fucking nectar of the gods. Now every Tom, Dick, and Harry who's been working out for fucking 2 months is trying to get their ass on their hands on a fucking bottle of Trent and get their ass on Trent. So it's like, there's no responsibility anymore. There's no respect, I feel, for the drugs anymore. And this is a drug that has to be respected if used. I do feel if this was put on the market by doctors and there was some kind of antidote, fail-safe antidote, to where if you tested your body temperature, you took another pill and it brought it back down, that the stuff would be great. However, there's nothing like that. So once your body temperature spikes and you fuck yourself up, you're fucked and you only have yourself to blame. So take it for what it's worth. I'm at the middle of the road. I don't think it's the most dangerous stuff ever. I do think it's dangerous, but I also don't think it's harmless like some people think it is either. It can definitely be dangerous, but it can also be done safely. I'm sitting here making this video and I'm not dead. And I can tell that Mark and Jason have not used it. The reason why I know that is because they're so scared of it. They're so scared of it because they're looking at what's on paper and they haven't actually felt the effects themselves of it or used it for any period of time to realize that they're not going to die from taking a dose of this stuff. So that just goes to prove a lot of people like, oh, Mark's shredded year round. He must be taking DNP. Jason Blaha cut 40 pounds on his cut. He must be taking DNP. These guys wouldn't be scared of it if they were taking it. They wouldn't be saying anything. Biohackertraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below for informational purposes only. www.biohackertraining.com is a blog. Don't take DNP anyway, bicep, because I said so. And we're out.